All right, welcome everyone to our second copywriting clinic. I am Kara. I'm the copywriting team captain for Autonomy Unlimited. And I've got Agnieszka here with me as well, who is my lovely copywriting right hand. And today we're going to do a couple things today. We are going to go through the assignment from last week. The optional assignment was to write a cold email that then we'll be able to go through in the clinic format and dissect and give feedback and see how we can make improvements. And then my goal for today is I'm hoping to get two things accomplished today. One, we'll be able to go through these emails. And then for the second half, we're going to dive into audience research. And I'm hoping that our timing works out today. You know, we're kind of figuring this out as we go. So if we run out of time, we can pick this up again next week. My goal is to keep this to about an hour. I am flexible though, since it's Saturday. So if we need to go a little bit later, we can. And this will be recorded so anybody can catch the replay. All right, why don't we dive in? I'm going to share my screen. All right, we have our first email up from Gabriel Reed on the screen. All right, so this is written for the Autonomy product in mind. And this would be the subject line, or is this you thinking the title of the email?
Yeah, that would be the subject line in my mind, but
Perfect.
I'm flexible here.
Okay. All right, let's read through this. Stop the grind and start living a better life today. The alarm goes off, and the moment you realize it's another day of the same grind, you hit the snooze button. But what if you looked forward to getting up on a work day? Getting paid for doing something you love doesn't have to be the stuff of dreams alone. You could even work once, then sell that work 1,000 times. Schedule your new life today. What's your first thoughts, Agnieszka?
I kind of like it. I don't think that the greeting is necessary. I'm not a fan of the greeting because I think it sounds spammy. At the same time, I'm not in love with the subject. I mean, I really like the content of the email. It's a little short, but for a click, because the goal here is to go to the landing page, right? So all he's looking for is a click, and the landing page can say a lot more. So I think for that, it's really good. Not in love with the subject though. What do you guys think would be a better subject here that's more of a hook? Because the thing is, okay, so here I'm gonna soapbox for just 2 minutes, right? When the email arrives in your inbox, oh, and by the way, Gabriel, you forgot the pre-header. The pre-header is another element. So it's subject, and then sometimes some people will see the pre-header, not all people, not all the time, but if they're looking on the phone, they will see another line, which is a pre-header. So that's another way to hook them. But okay, so they see the subject in their inbox, right? Maybe they see the pre-header. You have 2 seconds to get them to click. If in the first 2 seconds they don't fall in love with your subject, you're screwed. They're never clicking. Okay, once they click, you have 2 seconds to catch them with the first sentence. If you don't catch them in the first sentence, they're gonna delete the email and you lost. So I think that it could be a couple of words could be eliminated from the top sentence too, now that I look at it again. The alarm goes off and you realize it's another day. In the grind, on the grind, in the grind, I think it is, isn't it?
Well, and I think that how this is phrased, so then the moment that you realize it's another day of the same grind, you hit the snooze button.
Yeah, that's good. That's good because you're bringing the subject, the most important bit of the sentence right at the beginning, the moment, right? The moment, in what moment, right? So instantly I'm drawn into it. What moment? The moment you realize it's another day of the grind, of the same grind. I don't think same grind should, of the grind, of your daily grind. Because that way we're bringing it.
Another day of your daily grind?
Yeah, that's not good. Okay, let's change it to the moment. The moment you realize it's another day. No.
The
Help us, guys.
Shit.
Face the grind. I agree. I actually like the body. I would click on a link here, but I probably would never open the email because of the subject.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that the moment you realize it's something is like starting the sentence with the word moment. Yeah, same old grind. I like that better than the same grind.
If you just drop another day, it might be easier to. It's obviously
Yeah.
another day, right? The alarm goes off.
Realize it's the same old grind.
It's more of the same. No, I don't know. I kind of like another day.
Yeah.
Gabriel, it's your email.
I'm liking everything here. I'm just here to learn.
Okay, so kill the beginning.
What's that? What do you mean?
What about the moment your alarm goes off and you realize?
I like that. The moment your alarm goes off, realize it's another day of the same old grind. It's something I would even.
Can we do something better with another day? It's another package, another. Pablo, you're the poet. Come on, boys. Help the girls out. Roy.
So, what were we trying to inject?
Thinking about.
We were thinking about eliminating another day and replacing it with something more shorter and quicker to read.
Realize you're facing the same old grind.
Yeah, that
It's
sounds
more.
Like that, facing the same old grind. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so, because it's got the U in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I would even personally, I would break this up and make this a new line. Hit the snooze button.
Yeah, make U capitalized on the second sentence.
The best part of the email is that last sentence down there.
And I wouldn't start the third sentence with what or with but. I would start it with what. What if?
That's a pattern that I've had to stop doing. Is I tend to do things like that, starting a new sentence with but or something, because I think that it'll
Or and.
Yeah, or and, because somehow well, and I think it's part of it's how we talk. I think that comes out a lot in how we talk, but it can be more powerful.
Yeah, but hang on, because sometimes if you're trying to be very conversational to a blank audience, to a cold audience, making mistakes is actually good.
This is great. This is actually what I was going for. I know it's grammatically incorrect to start with but we were talking about approaching more conversationally, and that was a intentional choice in that spirit, but I didn't know if it was appropriate here or not.
It was appropriate. Your email was good to start with, but we're making it better.
Love it.
Yeah. And I think that this is better. What do you guys think? Comments? Complaints?
Agreed. Yeah.
Roy?
Yeah, I like the way you guys broke it up. And yeah, I like all the additions.
Because it was really good to start with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And getting paid for doing something you love doesn't have to be the stuff of dreams. Could that be bold? Just in case they're too lazy to read 3 sentences to get down to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like those 2 lines together, Kara. Okay. I think. Yeah, because it's referring to the same concept.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of the same.
Then how about this call to action?
And then today is a spam trigger, but the word today by itself with an exclamation mark is a spam trigger, but that's only one spam trigger in this email. And the spam triggers are an algorithm, right? So it adds it up. So it's the reputation of your client, plus the emails that they've sent before, have they ever been considered spam, plus the subject, plus the content. And so having one tiny word that's a spam trigger, it's not horrible. I need to get a sweater. Hang on.
No, that's great. I didn't actually see that on the spam trigger, so I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's so many. There's so many. Like, I think the list that was in last week's handout has what, like 500 or something spam words to avoid.
Yeah, I got to go back and look at that.
But I like that Agnieszka also brought up that, you know, the algorithm. So it's not to say that, you know, if there's one single spam word in your email that, you know, you have to completely scrap it. So it's just kind of finding that balance.
Instead of facing, maybe up against. So you're facing or up against.
Yeah, that works too. I like facing because it sounds like you have a gun in your face.
I like that.
That's how I feel in the morning when I wake up.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's money.
Get rid of this. How about the subject line? So I could see, I'm not sure about using today again, but I could see this as being more of like the preview text and having something more, more curiosity evoking for the main subject. So that's what I would do if this were me. And
what if you go, stop what you're doing?
For the subject?
Yeah, stop what you're doing, and then exclamation mark. And then down there, start living a better life today. And start living a better life today. What do you guys think? No?
Yeah, I think that works.
So what's the goal with the subject line? I mean, the goal is obviously to get them to click on the email. I delete so much stuff based on the subject line. Stop what you're doing. Yeah, I might click on that. I might be curious.
It's a crapshoot. Half the people will be inspired and the other half will be offended. It's pretty much no matter what you write, it's the truth.
How can you? Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, how about something like tired of hitting the snooze or something like that?
That could be another one. Why don't we write a list of different subjects for here, Kara?
Oh my gosh, I already forgot. What was that again?
Stop hitting the snooze.
Yeah, tired of hitting the snooze or something in that.
Nice. More?
This email will solve all your life's problems.
It's a big promise.
They'll be forced to click on it at the very least, just in case.
Solve.
I don't know where I got that.
I would have clicked on that one actually.
Follow?
That'll be my excuse for not submitting my homework last week. The email swallowed everything. This email just swallowed everything.
Well, it makes you curious.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It is, but it also makes me think of like X-rated emails.
True. That's where the trigger came in.
Yeah, I click on those too, just in case.
Just in case. Yeah.
Okay, who hasn't given us a new subject for this email? Roy? Lawrence? I haven't heard from Lawrence much. We also have Brandon and Michael and Lisa. She's self-proclaimed observer. Come on, boys, don't do it all at once.
I'll just throw in here. I was listening to another presentation, and they were saying that you have 2 words, 2 seconds, and 2 something else. I can't remember what the third 2 was, but 3 2s. And so to me, it's, I mean, like those first couple subject lines, to me, there's like two words that, you know, like tired and snooze. So like those are powerful words that I think people can identify with. So I think you like caught that first one, and then within the 2 seconds, you know, those first two lines are enough to scan those first 2 or 3 lines, I think is enough to certainly get your attention. But I don't know, have you guys heard of that 222 thing? Does that make sense?
I was just
to you?
talking about something like that, like 2 seconds to open, to choose, to click on the subject, 2 more seconds to read the first line and continue reading. I didn't hear the third. I don't know what the third 2 would be, but it's same concept, more or less. I'd like to know though.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look into that. The lady that brought that up was, she runs a site called, I think it's, shoot, let me find out. I'll get back to you on it, but it's you know, it's a marketing site.
You can bring it next week. We'll learn from you.
I've done ones before, like, did you see this?
Yeah, but that one's getting old.
Yeah.
It's starting to get old.
Mm-hmm.
It still works, but people are starting to ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan Locke uses that one a lot until I unsubscribed from him.
Yeah, but you can only see that so many times in your inbox before you start ignoring it. You know what I mean? That's the problem with copywriting and marketing, is that the thing that worked 2 years ago no longer works because people have seen it.
Mm-hmm.
We have to come up with new stuff all the time.
Well, I think we did pretty good on this one. Shall I move on to another?
Sure.
All right. We got next on this page from Pablo. And we'll need to think of some subject lines for this. I haven't even read this. I'm just getting this set up. Have you ever felt that you are your biggest obstacle? Do you feel like you are constantly tripping over yourself? This is a feeling all too familiar, a feeling I struggle with. I want to share with you how common this problem is and how to build a harness around your biggest obstacle through self-discovery. Autonomy is a self-development platform where excellence is incubated through a think tank of immersive exchange. I have found useful tools to get myself out of my own way through my enrollment with Autonomy. Oh, and then read more. Raising Excellence is a podcast conducted by Autonomy graduates. In their episode, Keys to Your Future, Power of Self-Discovery, you get to hear some of the personal obstacles Autonomy graduates deal with and what tools they use to bridge the gap of development. Listen here. I hope this email brings you the tools to continue on with your self-development. So my first thought is especially reading this out loud, is it lacks a conversational piece, in my opinion. I think some of this could be simplified.
My first thought was it's speaking to sapphires and pearls only, not to emeralds or rubies at all, because they don't give a fuck about feelings. And it's all about feelings. It's just in the realm of feelings, right? Which is okay. It doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it speaks to only those things. My second thought was, holy shit, that episode is so old. We sucked back there. So bad. Why did you choose that episode, Pablo? Why?
It was relevant. And I was just I was like fishing. And it was just, it was just an example.
Did you actually watch it?
I skimmed through it to like listen through, because I knew there was something. I knew there was a podcast or something out there that dealt with it. And I was like, oh yeah. I know the Raising Excellence deals with a lot of that. I've heard a bunch of episodes. So I was like, let me just use that as an example. And yeah, the audio was kind of, so, but I was like, it fits the requirements for this.
Yeah, I would choose an episode that has a lot of clicks or a lot of likes.
Right.
If I were to use it in an advertising email, because those older episodes, I mean, they're, like I said, they're full of good content. Content's never been Raising Excellence's problem, but you don't want to associate yourself with a podcast that's flailing.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I just wanted to have something in general, just to have some, just to have submit my homework. I literally like crunched it this morning. in the back of the class. Like, you know what I'm
Great.
saying? Like, oh, let's see what we got. Okay, literally just did this morning. I didn't have any time during the week, so I didn't
Just so
want
you know, the other rule you broke in this email is only one action per email. So you're supposed to be asking for one action, but here you're asking for 3 actions. Do you know what the 3 actions are? What am I seeing?
So I'm talking about autonomy, the
Enrolling in autonomy.
right,
That's
enrolling in
one.
autonomy, listening to the raising excellence, and
And then reading your article
reading-
about autonomy.
right, yeah. I was trying to do like a plug-in. Okay, yeah, those are the
You
3.
have to choose one.
Got it. That makes sense.
Now, what you could do is you could edit the bottom of your article and put a plugin for autonomy there.
Right.
And redirect them to your article, and then the article itself will sell autonomy by itself.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But you don't want to be mixing up, confusing them in one email. It's a good email. They're all good emails, but.
And I'll say this, like, that makes a lot of sense because I didn't want to be redundant. Like, I took away my call to action at the end because I didn't want to be redundant. So if I do that, if I add the plugins in the, let's say, blog, you know, I could soup up the call to action in this email, make it a little bit better. So that makes sense.
And the raising excellence, like, make sure that the podcast has no mic issues. If you're going to use it for advertising, make sure it's not one of the ones where we practice.
Great.
Because literally we just got better, like, I don't know, a month and a half ago. Before, everybody had issues. There was an issue with somebody in every episode. But let's kill that whole raising excellence bit out of that. He was just probably trying to please me anyway.
I agree. You know, this is really good because this would make me curious about autonomy, and I would follow the read more right there. I probably wouldn't even read the rest of this email.
So let's direct this email to the people to make sure that they read Pablo's article. Let's just make an email about Pablo's article, and he can edit his article to put calls to action at the bottom. And the other thing, Pablo, in an article, you can write, click here, do it now, don't wait, we're going to make sure that you get there and you're going to get the best time of your life. You can put all of that stuff, but you can't put any of that in the email.
Right.
Because it's all of those sentences are part of the 500 you're not allowed to use. So that's why the email has to really suck them into click. And then once they click, they're in a different world.
Yeah, makes sense. Great feedback.
Okay, and I think that there's too much feeling in this email. There's like feel. How many times?
And I guess that kind of depends on, you know, your audience too. I mean, what I was looking at seeing this looks like a really great email to send to a friend that you know, that you want to share your experience with, that you want to share this with. So I see it being very useful in that department. But as far as being like a cold email to somebody that doesn't know you, that's where I think I agree that has too much feeling.
And
even if you're a friend, even if you send it to a friend, they're gonna ask you what Kool-Aid you've been drinking.
You know what? So I did kind of like orient this message around a poem I had written. So I was thinking about that, and that poem was really like, it was very emotional, feeling about like tripping over myself. I actually put it in one of the servers. So like that's where my mind was. So that's how I kind of
over myself. Is that the title of your poem?
No, it was Get Up.
The title of this email now.
Right, Trip Right. Yeah, that's a great title actually. Yeah, so I was thinking in my mind, I was like, I would write a blog post, have the poem in the blog post, talk about all these things, and it was kind of like a feel. It was really much about like struggling with like tripping over yourself and that feeling. So that's where my mind was, I guess, to give context.
And I kind of think that if we're going to make it about Pablo's article, let's make it tripping over myself, because they like other people's misery anyway.
That's true.
Like
your porn or something like that.
Yeah, and then pre-header will be, did I solve my problems or something like that? Have I finally solved it? Or I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking. What do you guys think? Or until Tripping over myself until.
Yeah,
That's
cool.
good.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. And then at the beginning of this email, I would change the first sentence to, what if you are your biggest obstacle?
Just a thought, you could change those first two sentences to, are you your biggest obstacle?
Yeah.
Are you constantly tripping over yourself? I mean, that would take out the feel if that was what you were.
Well, so in the first one, I wanted to say what if, and then in the second sentence, I wanted to say are, because I don't want to offend them right off the bat, and I only have 2 seconds. So if I say, are you your own biggest obstacle? They're going to go, fuck you, bitch, and hang up the email, right? And the what if keeps you wondering. So it's like not, you're an asshole, but it's like, well, what if you're an asshole?
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Are you constantly tripping over yourself? That's what I had in mind for the second one. And then that feeling is all too familiar. It's something I struggle with. Comma. See, now you have a friend's email. That's a little bit less oriented.
So your goal is to make this more conversational.
But less commercially too. Like that's something I would write to a friend. But the first one, the original, I probably wouldn't write it to a friend because there was too many markety like questions in there. Do you guys think this is not conversational enough? I mean,
no, I actually like this even more, although I did like the original.
That's true about all our emails. Everybody in this group is very talented, so we're going to like all the originals anyway. But the reason why we're working in a group is to make it even better, even better, even better. And just that newsletter club, is it a club? What do you think, Copy Boss?
Haven't thought of the name.
The newsletter mastermind, where we make the best newsletters in the world, is going to be working exactly like that. We're going to be working in a group and making each sentence the best sentence we together can come up with, because each one of us has limitations. I might have 10 years experience, but I still only have my brain to work with. Pablo's brain has other poetry in it that mine doesn't. And Kara's brain has other poetry in it that mine doesn't. When we bring it all together and together look at it from every different direction, we're going to come up with something amazing. Anyway, that feeling. Okay. What do you guys think about the next sentence? Does somebody else want to take a stab at that one? Because it's not all about me telling you what to do.
I would, in regard to the autonomy little paragraph there, I think you might say something that is, my own personal experience with autonomy is one where excellence is incubated, blah, 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 instead of like starting it off like, like a third person kind of autonomy, like it's something separate. But
and I would remove the word self-development platform too. Sorry, go ahead, Michael.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that sounds like a commercial rather than like you're writing to a friend, in my opinion.
So my own personal experience with autonomy is excellence. No, that's not right. Yeah. Help me, somebody help me.
Is you can put where excellence is incubated. I think that works.
Where excellence
is How are we fitting that into this sentence? My own personal experience with
Just
autonomy.
after platform.
Oh.
Think tank and immersive exchange both caught my attention, piqued my interest, I should say, if you can keep those two.
Yeah.
This is where my own personal experience with autonomy is. This is where excellence is incubated through a think tank. Just trying to, that flow of that sentence is
Yeah,
bothering
there's
me.
something wrong with that sentence still. Somebody who hasn't spoken much. Lawrence, help us. Don't tell me you're feeding the chickens right now.
Is a platform.
Oh, with the autonomy. No, that's not.
Yeah, my own personal experience with autonomy is a platform. Oh, maybe not.
No.
Is a platform or experience.
Unless you just eliminate is and just put a comma. Autonomy, where excellence is incubated, or something like that.
And then after exchange has been great, or something like that.
Right. Right.
My own personal experience with autonomy, where excellence is incubated through a think tank of immersive exchange, has been amazing.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, that's good.
Good thinking.
Yeah. And then I have found useful tools to get out of my own way.
I don't know if I would say I have found, if you're trying to sell them of autonomy, I would say they provided me with. Because now we're putting with useful tools, or with the tools. There you go. Period.
Sweet.
Nice.
So, and that's where I plug in. That's where I'd like link. Maybe a blog.
Take a look, and I wrote about it here, or something like that.
Right. Keep it concise.
I don't like the last sentence at all. I'm sorry, Pablo.
No, that's great. I'm here
about it.
I'd like to
just drop that altogether, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a judgment on you. I like you. Just that sentence.
We've already clicked on the here and gone elsewhere anyway, so no one's going to read it.
They're already gone.
Mm-hmm.
But if they haven't clicked, what we could say, in order to engage them, because part of the marketing is to have them reply to you, write back to you, whatever, right? So what we could say here, do let me know what you think about it, and if you catch any errors, write me back. So now, not egregors, errors.
I know, I'm getting there.
Just joking. Egregors. So that way, so this is, so basically, one of the reasons we write emails for them to click, right? But if they don't click or whatever, there is another reason to write emails, is for engagement, right? So if an email asks them for an answer or advice, you know, people love giving unsolicited advice. So if you ask them for advice, they're all over it usually, right? And so they will reply to you, which raises your reputation, which helps you have that good spam score, right?
Yeah, wow, that's
a bad spam score.
It becomes immersive. It continues to become like an immersive exchange, right? It's like Inception. That's great.
Yeah, but and also if they find any errors, that'd be nice to find out about it anyway, right? If you misspelled, you know.
Yeah.
The word egregor, for example. I'm just joking. It's not a word we would use in an email. Nobody knows what it means. Except for Eric and I and a couple other people maybe in the world.
Well, how do we feel about this one?
I like it.
This turned out good.
Any other comments, you guys?
Nice and terse too, which is a good.
It's a what?
Short.
Mm-hmm.
People are more likely to read it.
Yep.
You don't want it any longer than this, really.
Mm-hmm. Not for a cold email, because they don't.
Not for most emails, because a lot of we can't say anything in an email. Does Sabri suggest we do long form emails?
Sabri does a lot of long form emails. He breaks them up similar like this because it's a lot, easier to digest. And I definitely can attest that, like, when I will see, if I open an email and I see a big block of text, I pretty much go blind to it. But I'm on Sabri's email list, and he'll send these really, really long broken up emails, and I find myself just captivated and taking in every line. And even though it's long form, it's so much easier to digest when it's broken up this way. And so I still end up reading them pretty quickly.
But also, if it's broken up like this, if you put it all together, it may be just one paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be a long form email at all. You're just breaking it up 3
That's true.
words at a time. Because what they're doing is, in the phone screen, they want the line to last the phone screen. You know what I mean? So each line is a separate line on the phone. So they're short.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these will actually be paragraphs on the phone, if you think about it.
All right, we got one more email to go through. And this one, I believe, is from Gus, right?
But Michael sent one too.
Oh.
It's in the chat.
Oh, it's because I'm sharing my screen that I don't see the chat.
Well, if we've got other things to do, I'll be more than happy to sacrifice mine.
I found it. I just want to make sure I get it up. Because we're still figuring out the best flow on doing these clinics. So we want to make as best use of our time. So and this is a big part of it, is really going through these and getting the feedback. So if I have to do just like a really, really quick, snappy overview of audience research, and then we dive into it more next week, we can absolutely do that. So.
Or you can just save it for next week if you want.
We could just even save it for next week. So.
Although I was looking forward to it, but I do have to go look for an apartment or at an apartment right after. So
I was wondering how the timing was going to work. So I was just kind of going to play it by ear. So
we took a little time gathering. We should maybe start gathering at 10 too.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Sweet. All right. Moving your business online is easier than you think.
I think business online is a spam trigger.
Oh, might be. Was your small business impacted by the scamdemic? Take steps now to prepare for round 2 by moving your business online. Whatever product or service you offer, all businesses, from restaurants to hair salons to zoos, can operate online in some capacity to retain income during times of manufactured crisis. By the way, I have my cat scratching in the background, so if you hear a weird sound, that's what that is. It will be done shortly.
I didn't think you were scratching your bum.
To quote Bill Gates, if your business is not on the internet, then your business will be out of business. Is that a threat, Bill? Oh my God, I love that. My name is Frank, and saving small businesses is my business. Let me help you. Visit escapethesmallbusinesscalling.com for my free guide to moving your business online. Interesting.
I kind of like it. Who wrote this?
This is Gus.
Gus wrote it.
August.
Uh-oh.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that.
I see a combination here of I love the implications and the messages in this. This also does have an element of more of that marketing language, more commercially.
More commercial than conversational.
Mm-hmm.
Which is bad.
I kind of like it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I like the scamdemic, not because I don't like it personally, I love it, but it may affect you negatively, and it may be a spam trigger. It may end you like, so there are some things that can happen to an email. So an email may go into the spam folder, but the emails that are really offensive, they just don't show up at all. They don't go into the spam folder. They just get eaten, disappear.
So I should probably give you some context. I've met more than a few local business owners that have been impacted and are kind of, I think maybe, if you could get something like this into their inbox, they'd definitely be open to it.
Oh, I'm not saying that they wouldn't be open. I'm saying that the spam bots will remove it from the roster before it even gets to your customers because you wrote the word scamdemic. Now, if you got masquerade, masquerade would pass because it's an actual word. And you can even put a dash in it, and it's still an actual word. And it's not going to be a spam trigger because nobody's using masquerade to criticize. But scamdemic is something that's widely used on the internet.
You just change it to pandemic, I think, without.
We can do it pandemic, yeah. I mean, personally, I love the scamdemic. But if you want to use the word like scamdemic, you can still. And here's how. You make a meme.
Yeah.
Scamdemic in it. And put it as a picture, and then make sure that you turn on pictures for this email, and then boom, you got it. You can still get it. Now, the technology to read memes is coming, and by next year, we won't be able to do it. But right now, images are still not, well, by next year, we'll still be.
What about replacing like O's with zeros, L's with ones, or something like that?
Yeah, they're too smart for that.
Oh, dang it.
But next year, we're going to be more creative with the images. We're going to make them out of leaves or something so they can still read it without the spam bot reading it. I'm sure we'll figure it out. But right now in images where you can say all the things that you like, click now, do it here, do it now, you know, all that stuff, you can do it in an image, just not in the writing. They're not testing or scanning the images yet.
That's good to know.
So business online is not a spam trigger, but I have a feeling that referring to business and online in the subject is not good for the spam bots.
May change online to moving your business onto the internet? Or is that too wordy?
It's too wordy.
Too wordy. This subject is already too wordy.
Is there a way to say like digital? Like, as in reference to like the internet, so it's kind of one word, like round two by moving.
There's probably a better way of expressing that thought without using any of these words. We just have to figure it out. So, Michael, you gotta go. Pablo, go.
I was saying by going digital, but digital, I'm just trying to find the word that will make the reference of the internet.
What about going online?
Yeah.
Is easier than you think.
Right.
Or going digital is easier than you think. That could be.
But is digital something, see, because we always have to think about, okay, so small business owners, they're going to bed at night, they're wearing their pajamas, they're about to go to bed, they're cuddling their pillow. Are they thinking, I want to go digital? They're not using their digital.
That's a good point.
Right? They might be thinking, should I go online? And use those specific words, going online. But they would never be thinking, oh, I should be going digital. Because that's what a TV does. I'd like to hear more subjects for this email from the boys. Maybe the girl, if she chooses to, the other girl, if she chooses to participate.
Or you could say,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, or you could say internet-based, but online is perfect. Just like another plug, internet-based or something like that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and I'd also suggest maybe the first part of that Bill Gates quote, if your business is not on the internet, ... something like that.
What did he actually say?
If your business is not on the internet, then your business will be out of business.
Is e-commerce a spam trigger?
Let me check. I don't think so. It's not on the list. So you want to say e-commerce is easier than you think?
Yeah, maybe.
Is that where you were going with this?
Sure. Or joining the 21st century. I don't know.
Nice.
That's a little vague.
Join other businesses online.
Yeah, I like that one. Join other businesses online.
Oh, join the 21st century with other businesses online or something like that. That's really long. I kind of want to say small businesses too, which makes it even longer.
See, and I really like that join. So I'm thinking I like join the 21st century and then having something as a preview text along with it.
With other businesses online, that's the preview.
COVID proof your business.
Bulletproof your business.
COVID proof your business. Yeah, that's good.
Say the word COVID.
COVID, yeah.
Yeah. Pandemic proof your business. Scamdemic, plandemic.
I would be hesitant.
What was that? Hang on. What was that shutdown them? What was the word that they used for closing all the businesses?
Lockdown?
Lockdown?
Lockdown proof your business.
Oh, okay.
That's good.
I think that would be a good subject, actually.
That's really nice, actually.
Very good.
Lockdown proof your business.
I think making that the subject line, and then we could move this.
This is what happens when you work with a group. Because I wouldn't be able to come up with it by myself. You guys gave me the pandemic proof, and I'm like, no. They actually did something else to businesses. The businesses were not affected by the pandemic, obviously, because there's no such thing. Anyway.
So how about, lockdown proof your business, and then the
going online is easier than you think.
I was just going to say it's easier than you think.
Yeah.
Telepathy.
But going online. Going online with, no, I like it. I like this. Never mind.
How about creating an online presence could create an asset that works for you 24 hours a day or something like that?
Did you pass that through Hemingway? Because that failed the Hemingway test in my head.
Yeah. I'm just thinking out loud.
Did you mean somewhere in the email? Or like as a preview?
Well, I think that's, I think that like we're going from like not having any hours of your business operating to having your business operating 24 hours a day.
Yeah, I think
what I'm trying to suggest there.
Yeah, it's good to put that somewhere in there. I think that's probably one thing that's missing, like
Maybe
really driving that point.
Maybe that should be a whole other email that talks about going from 0 hours to 24 hours with all new sentences and everything. I challenge you guys to write that for next week. Because I think this email has a lot of good content in it. If we start adding, it's gonna like ruin it. It's gonna Frankenstein it.
Agreed.
But that would be an excellent second email in this campaign.
It's 10. Let's look at Michael's email.
Okay.
Because we did really good with this one. Eric, are you ready to go? Make sure you got your stuff, like whatever you want to wear. Sorry.
All right. By the way, I got excited about this and did 3. So if you want to just pick one of those that you think works best. The first one was autonomy radio, though.
So each of these with the bolded is a separate email.
Yeah, essentially.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, and those are subjects. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wanted to stay within the 70 to 100 word kind of framework, but I had some different ideas.
Yeah.
So would you prefer to have, I would change that to ready for.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know about starting the sentence with that. Weren't we told that that does not belong in an email? Wasn't there something like that?
I see.
Hey, I'm a student. I'm just learning.
Oh yeah.
So,
no. I was just remembering something. No, I was just remembering something I read the other day that said, this is why did not belong in an email. That's what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
it
got a
doesn't really
bad
fit
habit
unless
of
you
that.
can point to it.
Well, and the first thing that I noticed, was that all 4 sentences in here start with the word that.
Well, what if we started with what if? What if there was a radio station produced by da 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 da? Because when you start a sentence with that, Michael, you're telling it's a top down kind of communication, and a lot of people are resistant to top down communication, and then you're really good at you know what I mean. I lost my words.
I appreciate the compliment.
What if that radio could help you manage your information overload? What if the content brought reason and logic back into your life?
Yeah, I like that. That you're kind of weaving radio into the thread. That's pretty cool.
Just playing around. That doesn't.
Good. I like you could better.
Mm-hmm.
Or what if that content brought you? Brought reason, not you, sorry. Into your life, back into your life. I feel like I'm just being bossy, but I'm just like looking at the time.
Yeah, well, in regard to that particular sentence, talking about kind of finding out the marketplace, that's basically a sentence that I experienced this week, where somebody in the real world was essentially telling me that they're like being driven insane because nothing makes any sense, you know. And
that's the purpose of it.
There's and I really feel like that's kind of one of the things that we should be talking about with autonomy is we have this rational group of people that I think is a respite from the real world, because man, it's just getting more insane every day.
It's funny because the normies think I'm absolutely irrational, and you just called me rational.
Yeah, I was just gonna say something similar to that. Like most people think they have the truth, even though they know most, like everything out there is already, fabrication of some sort. But most people think like, hey, yeah, I'm religious, whatever, I have it. You don't know it. You don't understand it.
Right, but I'm not. Well, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, that was it.
Well, I was just going to say, this is kind of specific to a particular group of people that are that reason and logic based kind of people that see how frustrating,
that makes sense.
seeing this go by is. That's the real key audience that I want to.
Okay, that's key, right?
Speak to.
And that's good that you're thinking of that specific audience in mind as you're writing. So huge kudos on that. And we haven't even covered audience research yet. So you're like ahead of the game.
Just the first couple words that you said about that just gave me some great ideas. And of course, I'm, constantly talking to people about, being interviewed and stuff like that. And so I get a chance to talk to them and, ask them about their feelings about stuff. And, but you're the one that triggered me into thinking about that and kind of taking that approach.
Oh, I have a sentence. Sorry, I was just staring.
Go ahead.
What if radio could raise your spirits and give you hope for an abundant future? What do you guys think?
I like that. I'm wondering about spirits. I mean, I like that in general, but I'm curious maybe if there could be another word for that.
Yeah, I'm curious for Mike based on what he was just talking about with that specific audience. So Mike, how does that feel with you after having that idea of your audience in mind?
Yeah, I think it could be described as raising your spirits. It could be described as almost like, visiting a respite, or, like having a relief of finding.
I don't know if
Like
it's
a
American
safe
thing.
place. I don't know.
In Canada, respite is like for the death and dying.
Okay. Sanctuary is another word I think of.
That's after you die. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
All right.
No, it's not. It's not. I was just making that up.
I mean, spirits is
Place
cool.
that you can. Well, a place you can.
What if it was just one spirit?
R&R is another word. Rest and relaxation. R&R. Place.
But that's not what autonomy radio would provide.
Or uplifting.
Uplifting. Could be uplifting and give you hope for an abundant future.
That makes sense.
I personally kind of like raise your spirits, but I know that a lot of people equate spirits with alcohol.
Well, and I like that too. I was just very curious from Mike's perspective, and if he thought that was something that would resonate with that audience, since he's already been kind of familiarizing himself with his audience.
I already have my coat on, Eric.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that sentiment.
I think it's probably the best that I can think of at the moment, and I know we're on a time frame.
Yeah.
Well, I'm out of time, you guys. Kara's not
That's
necessarily
great.
out of time. It's up to you. You can go or you can stay.
Well, my thoughts, because we are nearing the hour. I also have other stuff to do today. So why don't we'll wrap it up for today. At the handout for today, you can get kind of a sneak peek on some tips for audience research. Definitely feel free to go through that. And then next week, what I wanted to do, and now actually I'll have the opportunity to do it, is I'd like to make a real life example. So next week, we can, in real time, we will research some kind of industry using the method that I've laid out, so you can kind of see how it works in real time. So this will just give us a full hour to dedicate to that.
Yeah. And I also think that as people in this group get more confident with their writing, they'll be throwing in more ideas and this process will be faster. Mm-hmm. Because right now, I want to make sure that you guys have a space to speak, but also we're like waiting for you guys to make up your mind to speak, right? But it's just because you're new and you're like, oh, is my idea good enough? Yes, it's good enough.
Well, and sometimes even
this was another brilliant hour of insight, and I definitely think it's extremely valuable time. So definitely appreciate what you guys are doing.
Awesome.
Yeah, I agree, and it'll be good to have the full hour next week to talk about audience research.
It's a big, important topic, and so I'm actually kind of excited now to have more time to dedicate to that. So.
Does anyone feel unfulfilled or like they'd like to talk about something? Because maybe if there is an element that you're still yearning for, we can include it in next week.
No, I think this was a great use of the hour.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a really cool exercise.
Let's do this every week.
Yes.
We can edit each other's writing.
Awesome. Well, let's see. So Gus and Mike, these are already your documents. So you have access to these. The ones that we went through previously from Pablo and Gabriel, I'm going to send back to you in Discord. I'll send you back the finished version so that you can have those to keep and analyze. And this was an awesome meeting, everybody. I look forward to seeing you all next week. If you have questions or, need anything throughout the week, definitely reach out to me or Agnieszka. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
And then if you want to become an even better writer, join us for Toastmasters tomorrow, because Toastmasters makes you think on the spot, make your thoughts more succinct and easier to understand. And as people are drawing a blank while you're speaking, it's a perfect time to realize how you could rephrase it so they don't have that blank stare. And you see people right away have a blank stare. So it's not like, oh, I wonder how they received it. You can tell how they receive your sentences right there live. Just saying.
I'll be there.
Do it live.
Yes. All right. Thanks, everybody.
I just wanted to pop in at the end and I really enjoyed listening to this session that you guys had. It's super encouraging, and I think it very, just for me, inspiring to listen and see how things are coming together. And yeah, so I just wanted to say that. Super encouraging.
And knowing that Miss Arbucheski has a million ideas a minute, we would like more involvement and ideas coming from her in the future.
Okay.
Thanks, Lisa.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
All right, everyone. Enjoy your Saturday, and we'll talk to you next week, if not before then.
I had to sneak in the blowing of the kisses.
Thanks.
It's my signature now. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
I'm having you. Bye.